evening, Alison. Good evening, everyone. Are you feeling happier now it's cooled down like somewhat, or would you prefer the heat that we had last week? I'll give it a few more minutes to see if anybody else is joining us. How are you getting on with your book, Alison? Have you managed to keep up? So, if you've been working along, we've got our covers, our hinges. Don't forget, we also cut out that section in the middle for the envelope page. So that's that. Then, are these in any order? So we had our first page. Like I said, I've got room for photo there, but I haven't decided which one's going in it yet. Our second page, and I will be putting a photo mat on there. I haven't decided if I'm going with a landscape photo mat or a portrait one, which is why I've not stuck it down yet. I need to decide what picture I'm using. Then we had our envelopes, so we'll make the photo mats for those later. And then we had this page, just with the little bit of the paper doily sticking out there. The door page, I don't know if that's what it's really called, but that's what I'm going with. And then we did this page last week, which then got stuck under something else, and it's got creases in the wrong places for the bow. So before I work on the back of this one, I'm going to show you how I did the acetate page, which sounds really good, but I've just put the acetate down and I can't find it. One sec, there it is. So you probably can't see this very well, so I'm going to just pop the acetate there for now. So we need to decide, of the papers that we've got left, which to use for the acetate page. Not use that one. I guess I could use that one because you only see one side, so I could use that one. Quite like that one as well. Right. Oh, I'm gonna use that paper, because if I think about it too much, I'm going to end up confusing myself. So first of all, we need to cut the acetate, and we need to cut this at 8 1/4, which is the size of our pages. So if I slide that along, cut that down, keep hold of your acetate. It could come in for something else, it's entirely up to you. Now, so this paper, we need to cut it down to 4 inches, because we're going to capture the acetate between the 2 pieces of paper. So if I take this down and cut it at, get it straight, cut it at 4 inches. So as you can see, it just literally folds back on itself. Now, you don't have to do this, but I just think it gives a bit of a nicer edge to it, rather than just capturing your acetate between your pages like that. What we're going to do is punch the edge. Now, because we're punching this edge and you're gonna see through the acetate, it's better to hold it together and you can start at either end or in the middle. It doesn't, I've tried doing it so it lines up, and for some reason, just because of the way it is, it's not quite even. So you hold it together as you're punching, and slide it up. See, So that will actually give you 2 little strips if you really wanted to keep the paper bits. I tend to keep them till the end because I might need them for something. But if I do keep them, I probably won't need them. If I throw them away, I find something that I could have used them for. So just keep hold of them. Evening, Nicole. How are you doing with all your kits that you're working through? So your piece of acetate, it's not really great to show you this, but your piece of acetate is going to sit just inside there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually put a little bit of red liner tape just to hold it in place whilst the glue sets, especially with it being quite hot at the moment. So make sure that's burnished down really well. I am conscious that it's a bit difficult for you to see acetate on the screen. So just line that up. And when you've got it straight, just pull that forward and then keep that bit out of the way. You can pop your glue on that side like that. So this bit that you've left here, the other side of the double-sided, you will actually use to slip your hinge into. So again, you need to pop that down. Just line up your edges there. Again, I'm just gonna pop a piece of double-sided on, just with it being so hot. Just so it doesn't get everywhere. As you can see, the glue will dry, but you're not going to see this inside bit, so. And as usual with double-sided, it does it. There we go. Pop your glue on again. And then if you pull your tape back at right angles and hold on to it there, and then just line up your border punch, press down where the double-sided is, and that will then keep that in place until that glue sets. So you've got your gap to put your hinge in, or onto your hinge there. Let me just move these in my way. So that's the basis of your acetate page. Now I'm just going to get some card out. So we need 2 photo mats at 6 1/8 by 4 1/8, which is quite good because that means you can get 2 out of an A4 sheet. So just put them approximately there. Now, only glue this section for now, otherwise you'll see the glue underneath, and I'll show you why in a minute. So I'm going to pop that there, and then if we flip it over on the other side, you need a little bit of glue here. Hold the gluey bit up in the air. It's really hard for you to see this acetate. Line your photo mat up with the other side, and then let that fall, and there you go, you've got a photo mat on both sides. Now, I also, just to give it a little bit more detail, take a 4-inch section of your papers. I'm just looking what, so I've got a piece here that I hope, yeah, 4 inches. Now what I'm gonna do is take your 4-inch piece of square paper, and then just, I can't do that tonight, I'm going to cut it with my knife. And cut it this way, so just line it up. Oops. There we go. So if I pop this like that, just level it up a little bit. So now you've got this decoration here, but then when you turn your page over, when you get it straight again, that will also show through onto the other side. So you don't actually need 2 sheets of paper, you just need the 1 triangle. So what I'm going to do is, so I don't get my glue everywhere, I'm going to put this on the back of the photo mat, and then try and line it up so you've got roughly the same amount of gap between the edge of the photo mat and the edge of the triangle. There's probably a really technical way of doing that, but I just tend to line it up by eye. So if you pop that one down, and then you can then just pop a piece of glue up there. Now, as long as you don't put too much glue on, that will be completely stuck down, but when you turn your page over, you've got that section there. So I'm happy with that now, so I'm going to just pop some glue on the back of there. And just squidge that down. Okay, so there you go. That is your acetate page. So that's done. We will come back and do some decorating on that later. But I want to get the bigger pages and the fuller sheets used up first, because we'll use what's left to do that. So So that's page 1. Page 2, the envelope pockets, the door pockets, our acetate page, and the page that we worked on last week. So we're going to work on the back of this page now. So again, you need to choose your paper. Now you're going to see most of this paper, although you are going to hide some of it with your photo mats. So I think I'm going to go with that one. Oops, I didn't expect it to do that. So our pages are 8 by 8, the papers are 8 by 8, so I'm just going to trim it down a little bit on 2 sides. Oops. And get it straight, and then get my distress ink. Evening, Lynn. Shearing. Sounds very energetic. You don't want to keep doing too much of that. You need to be inside and watching or playing in your craft room even. So just ink the edges up. Oops. My ink pad's a little bit dry because I forgot to put the lid on it last week. So yeah, I'm going to stick that on there. I was going to do it with the lady facing up, but then I realised that once you've got the photo mats on, if your photo mat's there and there, you're not going to see her anyway. So just line that up. Okay, now your photo mats I'm going to do at 4 inches each. So if we take that piece of card, trim it down to 4 inches, and then 4 inches for this one, and 4 inches for this one. So I'm going to pop them just roughly like that. Then what I'm going to do is, oh, my screen's gone funny. Bear with me. You're all back again. So there we go. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take another piece of the papers. I'm going to use this one. Again, trim it down to 4 by 4 inches. Oops. And then what I'm going to do with this one is similar to the one on there, is cut it diagonally. See if I can line it up. Corner to corner. This is quite a good technique to use if you really want to use a paper but you're not sure if you've got enough, or you've not got enough paper to be able to put a full piece on. So if you do it like that, so you've got your paper, you've got your mat underneath, but it's not a full mat. So let me just ink the edges, tidy the glue up before it goes everywhere. And I'm using this one because I just feel that the pink on it stands out a little bit more than the colours, the blues and everything that are on the page. So if you line that up there, and again, just ink your edges. And again, it's not desperately essential that you put them level, but I tend to go in about 1/2 inch from each edge, and the same up there. So again, just bring it in a little bit from the edge and pop that down. And then you can pop your photo mats. Now it's up to you which one you want on top, which one you don't. What I did on my original is, let me get it to show you. So on the original, I've popped them down and I've stuck them at this end, but this one at the bottom isn't stuck yet. It's glued here, but I've done that, excuse me, so that when you get your photograph, you can slide it behind rather than just chop the end off it. Excuse me. So if you're sticking that down, just stick the top one, you can stick on all 4 sides. Again, just bring it in the same amount from the top and the side. But then the bottom one, if you just pop your glue on and put it there, so when you get your photograph, bit of a rubbish photograph, you can slide it behind, and once you've put it there, you can then stick that down. Okay, and we'll go through decorating that afterwards. So that's that one. Now, oh, hi Lorraine. Oh dear, company. I hope they were nice company for you. So for your next page, we're going to do a pocket on the bottom. So it needs to be 9 inches wide. Oh no, I'm gonna do it a different way. Yeah. So it's 9 inches wide via 4.5 inches deep. So that trimmer won't do. So we're doing, where am I, 9 inches by 4.5 inches. And then we're going to do a normal pocket score. Sorry, a scoring for a normal pocket, even. So we're going to score at 1/2 inch and 8.5 inches. Oops, spin it round and then score at 1/2 inch again. So, the scissors. I'm going to miter the corners. And then fold them over. Find one of my bone folders that appears to have walked away. Just bear with me, it's slid down. Oh, got the big one today. So fold them down. Fold that up at the bottom, and then just, that fits exactly, so fold that over like that. Now before you stick that on, what we're going to do is go to the halfway mark, which is 4 inches, and then I'm going to make a cut that is 2 inches down. So you've got your pocket and you've got a cut that comes 2 inches down like that. Now we're going to glue this onto our page, and you're probably thinking, what on earth has she done? We've got a hole in the pocket. All should become clear. So I'm going to line your pocket up, make sure it's straight, and glue it down. So now we need some paper for the back, and we need some paper for the pocket. So let's see what we've got left. I don't want to cover them up when they've put things in the pocket though. I think quite like that for the bottom. Now I'm going to go with what I've picked out. So again, we need to trim this down because it's the same size as our pages at the minute. Oops. So if I'm going to pop this in the top of the pocket, I want it to come just a little way past where the pocket is. I'm going to trim it. I'm going to take 2 inches off just because I know what's coming. So trim that there. So again, we're going to ink the edges. So has anybody got anything exciting planned for weekend? Yeah. We all staying in? Are we crafting? So pop your glue on the back. Make sure when you've done it, that it's level. Crafting, it sounds like a plan, that. And then what we're going to do now, I'm going to cut this down for the bottom. So again, I need to take just a little bit off the edge. And then we know that the pocket is 4 inches. So I'm going to cut this at 3 3/4. So that will just give us a little reveal like that. Now, again, we've got that cut down there. So I'm going to turn that sideways, hold my paper in place, and get my ruler. I'm going to put my ruler where the cut is, the halfway cut. Keep it straight. And I'm just going to draw a line down to the 2 inch mark. What I'm going to do then is get my craft knife, which is somewhere on the desk. And cut down. Okay. So now you've got a cut like that. Then we're gonna ink the edges all round. So we're going to pop the glue along the edges like that. And then we're going to line it up so that it goes, and I think I've measured it, look at that, it fits. So you've got that. Now what you need to do is line up the edge of your cut with the top of your pocket, and then get the back of your knife and just run that underneath. And lift it up, and then do the same again on the other side. You're just using your ruler there to just give something for you to fold up against, and then once you've got it like that, you just fold them over and give them a squish down with your fingers. You can do it with a bone folder. If you want them to lay really, really flat, then it's better to do it with a bone folder. I then just gently ink the edges of these two sections. Just to cover that up. So there you go, you've got your, it's just a little different take on your pocket. So when you're measuring to do your piece of paper for the top, add on another 2 inches so that it actually covers down to the bottom there. Okay. So in your pocket, we've got a 6x4 photo mat, and then I used one of these squares from the patterned paper and popped that on a photo mat as well, but we'll do that when we do the decorating later. So on the last page, what we're going to do is, again, it's a little bit of paper piecing, not for any reason other than it looked pretty. So I'm going to choose a sheet of paper. I think I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to trim it down to just trim a little bit off the bottom so it fits, maybe about 1/8 of an inch. Now, so that's going to go on there like that. But this piece I've just cut off. Oops, I think I'm just gonna pop that on there, but I'm gonna border punch the edge. So if I line that up, punch it and move along. And then move it along again. Get rid of the bits. So I want that to come on there, but I don't want it all the way across. So what I'm going to do, I want it to about there. So I'm going to get my pencil. So I need to trim that off about there. But it also means I can cut this page as well. So if I cut some off there, and we can use this for decorating afterwards. So I'm going to do ink the edges again. So that's going to go there like that. So I want that to overlap. So I'll just trim that down slightly. Ink the edge up again. Just have to remember, if you've got a border punched edge, don't be as harsh when you're inking the edges up, because it can be a little bit fragile. So get our glue. that around the edges. And stick that down. Pop that on there. Careful not to get glue everywhere. And just line that up. Make sure it's lined up top and bottom. And squidge that down. What weight lavender background can I think it's 230. I wanted 240, which is the black that we always use, but for some reason lavender only comes in 230. And bizarrely, it's actually called amethyst, which I think it's nowhere near amethyst. I thought amethyst was a lot darker, but what do I know? It was done by a man. So, and again on this one, I think I'm going to go landscape on that photograph. But from the square of paper that we cut earlier, I've got a wonky edge there. I'm not going to use that side because it's blue on blue. So I'll pick another piece. And again, cut this down to 4 by 4. Okay. And then just line your ruler up corner to corner. Cut your corner off. Oops. So that just brings that top corner out. So ink the edges up again. So I'm going to pop this in the top corner, and as luck will have it, it will just cover those 2 butterflies that are flying upside down. So I'll stick that there, and then I'm going to pop that on there like that. And then I'm going to get some of the doilies out. Like I say, I'm just going to put, it's not even going to be a half a doily. I think half's a bit too much. So if I use that much, again, pop a pencil mark on and trim that down. So just line up your doily and cut that off. So pop your glue on your photo mat. Like that. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of glue there. I'm not going to stick it all down. Bit of purple around the edges. And then just feed that under. Get it where you like it. And then glue it down. Okay, so, oops. We've got page 1 and 2. I think what we'll do now is I'm going to start with the decorating. So to do that, put my glue back on. We need to keep that doily because I will use pieces of it again later. So I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to cut out the tags. So it's like watching paint dry, watching someone else cut the tags out. So yeah, if you just cut around your tags. I've obviously thought about doing this ahead of time because I've cut 3 down, but I don't know what I've done with the rest. So just turn the paper or the cardstock. Pop that along there. Oops. So there's one tag. And you will find that you will have, just by the nature of the beast, that when you've cut card, that there is a white core in the middle of, even if it's a fully coloured piece of card, 99% of card stocks have a white core, which is why I ink the edges. Sometimes leaving them showing white can look quite nice. It can be quite a nice effect, but it just depends on the paper and if white is good with it. So let's cut this one out. Just remember, the bigger the scissors are, keep your fingers out of the way. I don't want any accidents. So I'll trim those round. And then I'm gonna cut out cut out the basket of flowers. So I tend to rough cut it out first, because that way, you know, you're not going to get huge parts of paper to turn round under your scissors. So let's have a look at this. So you can use these as decoration, you can use them to hold your photos in place if you like. It all depends on what you want. At the end of the day, it's your book. You can decorate it how you want. It's entirely up to you. So just cut this one out. And like I say, moving the paper is much, much easier than trying to move the scissors. Okay. Now you'll notice I'm not going to cut everything out tonight because you'll be bored and you'll be like, she's going mad, which to be fair I quite possibly will be. But on the die cut sheet, no, it's not die cut, I wish it was, some things are quite easy to cut out. If you are really careful, you can cut out the butterflies. Now what I tend to do, because the they're not ears, antennae on the butterflies are really fine. It's very difficult to cut a butterfly out and cut the antennae out. So what I tend to do is just cut the butterfly out, forget the antenna, and then when you pop your butterfly down, let me show you. So if you cut your butterfly, just cut around like that, and then down his wings, cut round his head. So when you've got your butterfly like that, if you wanted to stick him on here, I would put your butterfly like that. Right, let's do it. Let's go rogue. So I'm going to just gently ink the edges and then just pop a tiny bit of glue in the middle and pop your butterfly like that. Then get a very fine pen and just draw them in afterwards. And that way you can't tell, and it's yeah, Nicole, you're doing exactly what I've just done. I did think there is a dragonfly and I was going to decoupage the dragonfly up, but his tail's going the wrong way. So where's my... So I've got that. I may, where is it, that way round? So that's where the join on the lace is. And I may stick that over the top. Inking the edges as we go. So if you pop that there, that also covers the join up that you've got under your lace. So if you, I'm going to pop your glue on, make sure you get it the right way up, and then just hold it in place, because it's tricky sticking onto glue, because sticking onto lace, because it's not a completely flat surface. So just hold it like that until the glue grabs, and then while that's doing its stuff, I'm just going to ink the edges of these tags. Now somebody said to me the other week they didn't like the lady with the faces on. Some do, some don't. Just turn it over, it's got a plain side on the back, so just ink the edges and see what's what. So that's pretty much stuck now. So if we turn that over, which tag I'm going to pop, no, I'm going to use that one. I'm going to pop that tag just there, and think I'm gonna cut out one of the birds and have the bird on the tag. It does look like the bird may have a worm in its mouth. So if we just cut around the bird, being careful not to chop his wings off. As you can tell, I can't talk and cut because I've found when I'm cutting out, I actually stick my tongue out. So that's probably why I'm not talking as much when I'm doing fiddly cutting out. So again, I'm just gonna ink around the bird, blob of glue on the back, and I'm just going to stick him on there like that, and then I'm going to stick the tag just underneath the lace like that, and then on the back of this one I'm going to pop that one just under the tag. No, it's not popping the tag under the ribbon, and I might cut something else out and pop it on there as well. It might be one of the butterflies, and just pop that on there. So that's very straightforward decorating. We've done that one and that one. So on this one, what I'm going to do, one of the offcuts of paper that we had before, I'm going to, where is it, that one? What you'll find is your acetate may be slightly longer than you need it. So if you line it up with another page and using your black pen, you can just trim it down to size. There we go. So yeah, don't know whether that one will show up. I'm gonna trim, so that at the minute is just under 2 inches, so I'm going to cut 1/2 inch off. So if I take that down to 1.5, and then again down to 1 inch, and then just ink up the edges. On both of them. Like that. And then what I'm going to do, make sure my flowers are the right way up, is pop it on, but so you can get your photograph underneath, I'm only going to glue at the top and the bottom, and then when you put your photograph in, you can slide that underneath. So it's still there, but it just means so make sure they're the right way up, line that up, and let that stick like that. And then again on the other, same on the other side, move it further over. So I'm going to pop a bit of glue on the top and the bottom, line it up straight, and pop that down. So you can still get your photograph underneath when you're doing it. So you can pop your photograph there. So we'll leave it like that for now. So we'll finish the decorating, and we'll do, hopefully when we finish the decorating, we'll get on to the covers and the inside cover pockets next week. I may have the next book to show you. It's in my head, I just haven't actually made it yet, so watch this space. If I can, I will get some done, work on it this weekend, and it should be ready to show you all next week. But thanks for joining me tonight, and hope you all have a lovely weekend, and I will see you same time next week. Bye.